Well, here we are. It's not breakfast, but it's a brunch. Kind of a late start for our first breakfast for 2019. Interesting. It's nice and quiet out here today, right now. And let's boop in here. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. It's 1 o'clock on the 26th. Hello, Anna. On a Saturday of 2019. Where's my focus going? And this is the Epic Beard, and I'm Dave. How's that? Almost deadpan, huh? Anyways, what's up, all? Hope you're having a nice Saturday afternoon. Hi. Yeah, it's a lazy morning. Didn't sleep well. I don't really sleep anyway, so. Good news, Congress is open. I believe the fake news story of a bunch of Catholic high school kids. Love it. I'm glad you do. But anyways, I think the fake news story of the group of Catholic high school students threatening a member of, or a Native American in Washington has run its course. I was shocked to see how it was exposed, and it got some news coverage, I guess. A lot of it, I watched a lot, saw a lot on social media. I think it's funny. I think the journalist who took that twit and just posted the video and ran with it and made it a national story overnight needs to lose his job. That's not reporting. That's not news. That's not serving the fourth estate and the people. Wrong. What's wrong? Why am I wrong? I think there's still a little bit to go on that. I mean, it's interesting how some things were exposed about the gentleman in question. How background footage came up really quick. I'm really curious, Anna, why am I wrong? What's wrong? Not you, the kid. Oh, kid didn't do anything wrong. Him and his fellow high school students, even though they were a Catholic school, came to Washington to protest abortion. And to make a comment or a statement, and exhibited their constitutional freedoms, their right to free speech, basically. And if you watched later video, it shows how another group threatened and attacked them, how the Indian guy approached them, got in their face with his drum. I mean, the kid comes off as an idiot with that smirk, but I think he was just smiling and trying to be peaceful. And he didn't say anything, he didn't do anything, he just stood there. And then the media vilified him. And of course now one of the I thought disrespectful. It does. It looks it with his smirk and whatever. He looks rather disrespectful, but he's not. He was standing his ground, and this guy was in his face, and all he was doing was smiling. He's got one of those. I don't know if you heard the expression, resting bitch face. I've got a great one, and that kid, when he was just standing there smiling, it's just like he's got one of those faces that when he does that, he looks like a total douchebag. I guess, and he wasn't. He really wasn't. They were disrespected. They were disrespected by people around them. They were threatened with bodily harm. Then they had this gentleman approach them and you know, I don't know what he did. He just beat his drum and sang and chanted. That's his right, I guess. He's a punk. He looks it, but he's not. Like I said, from what is being corrected in the narrative is that the kid, those kids in that one in particular were just protesting. Now, where all the mega hats came from, I don't know if that was organized by another source or they did that they decided to do it on their own. You know, we need to, that would be something that, I know the old man was an elder, but that's not the point. The point is he fired the first shot. Let's use that expression. And he came over there. He could have very quietly and peacefully stood on the other side. Sometimes the wisdom of an elder would be best to step back. Yes, he's an elder of the tribe. Those guys were not of a tribe. They were Catholics. It's a different tribe altogether. But I'm not going to get into that. I think it's just, my point is more along what the media did with it and how it was just the narrative that flowed. And I noticed on Facebook now there's a narrative that church should lose their tax exemption because it's a nonprofit, you know, and some. It's interesting how many jumping on that bag. How, like, because they're a church, it's interesting that the tax law that I'm seeing being thrown out there. If the wording that the gentleman used is correct, it's if it's assumed or if it's thought or determined to be lobbying and too excessive. And so my question is, who does that? I mean, personally, if the church helped, well, that's okay. I mean, I understand, you know, but I understand that even though he's an elder of a tribe, from what I understand, he's also misrepresenting himself, you know, as a veteran. And but that's neither here nor there. My point is the media's response and what the public is doing. Rick Trump. I was a cut up. It was a cut up video to make him look look bad, and Nathan should have never gotten into his face. And had he been a real man, he's stopped up to the black Israelites to stop the racism comments. The kid, okay, I see more. You know, you're right, Rick. I mean, that's the whole thing. This is, who knows, maybe it was part of his philosophy or his agenda to create an incident and try to spin this narrative in a negative and turn it and spin it as a negative, you know, white supremacist, Trump is a rapist, and now we have all these acolytes that wear a Trump hat. I just, you know, this is interesting because it goes along with something I deeply believe in, and I quote a lot in some people on Facebook. And when I'm quoting this, I'm not doing this to support their argument. I'm kind of telling them to shut the hell up. But Goebbels said, if you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, people will believe it and it'll become the truth. And that is, to me, you're right, Anna, that's fake. It's also fake news. It's all so much fake news, you know. And I'm not going to recommend a news channel, cable or not, for you to watch. I mean, I watch a lot of Fox, but, you know, I just can't stand the smug, condescending, total attack by MSNBC and especially CNN itself. And I think the guy that broke this story was from CNN. So CNN is truly fake news and a lie. Makes me wonder about what they did during the Iraq War when they supposedly were in a hotel upstairs filming the bombing, and then what they called the Scud Studs in Saudi Arabia during that, when they were like Wolf Blitzer and whatnot. I mean, that's how they became household names. And so, I mean, how much of their reporting was honest and true? I just have so much trouble now. I mean, my son's a perfect example. Him and I have talked about this, and he agrees that it seems, and he's born, I guess, after this started. But he blames, and I agree with him that it's a 24-hour news cycle. You need firewood. So what you do is you log on and log on and log on and log on, and you run out of the facts and you run out of truth. So you start to make up a narrative, and then of course now there's also the propaganda side of it that I don't know. Maybe it's the progressive liberal view, and they want to spin that narrative and that argument, and the socialists. I think journalists today are coming out of college as not as journalists, but liars and without integrity. I mean, I don't know if is it for ratings, is it for awards, is it for what? Do you guys realize that the Pulitzer Prize, one of the highest honors in journalism, is named after the man that helped foster and invent yellow journalism? Between him and William Randolph Hearst, they got us into a war, the Spanish-American War, because somebody wanted to. I mean, they lied, and they built a sensationalist narrative in the newspapers and rallied people behind what was would have probably been not a war. The only thing that I would say that came out of that was worthwhile was us wresting away the Philippines from the. He's also invaded Catholic Church services during actual services, and that's totally disrespectful on his part. Yeah, Rick, he did. He lied about his Vietnam service. But yeah, the only thing to come out of that one was what we got: Guam, and we got I think American Samoa, and some of the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. And the Philippines was very quickly returned to their own self-rule before the Second World War. The United States is somewhat instrumental in that change in policy in that part of the world. India had been a problem for the British before the First World War, and they managed to work it out and get through the First World War without putting them at a handicap. But during the Second World War, they needed to go to Gandhi and get the cooperation of the Indian people. And they did, and there were those that supported the Brits, but that's when they made a promise to eventually change India into its own government, into self-rule. And I believe Hong Kong was there was a 100-year treaty or something like that, or lease, and because of the mode of today's world, we know that they finally released it back to the Chinese. It's crazy. I mean, the United States didn't, and the United States came to the aid of the Philippines during the Second World War, even though the Philippines had self-rule. Ooh, I got a bunch. And I got a conversation going here, which is great. I love that. That's why, Rick, if you're still there, I just can't stand when that kind of stuff is exposed. And why more and more, if you want to make your name, to me, if you want to make your name in journalism, get with a network or get on a paper or what that comes out and this stuff apart and exposes the fake news and exposes the hypocrisy or the loss of true journalistic integrity. We really count on journalism or journalists and the media, news, whether it's print or radio or television or whatever, to keep us, the American people, informed. I mean, we have to. It's not just living our lives. It's we have to make a living. We have to get out there to support our families and to raise our children, and or run and create our businesses. And a lot of times we just can't sit there and watch and read everything that the government's doing. And yet we do need people that do that. We need to watch them like a hawk. Remember, that's what's something that some people forget. The Constitution was written not to tell us what we can do and how we can do it, but to protect us from our government by restricting and limiting them. Replying to Anna McVeigh. Yes, Rick. Yeah, I'm going to go with yes. We do need to know more. I mean, I'm a big history fan, especially American history, and leading off with military history. Right now, my obsession is sort of the First World War. Said in our past. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a lot that, like, we're not doing enough for Puerto Rico. And I think that's an absolute lie. I think the government is doing everything they can to our government. The Puerto Rican government, on the other hand, and some of those that are trying to create a narrative down there and probably a fake news or whatever, I think is more response. If you really want to study something, Rick, look at Puerto Rico and what's gone through. They've been overrun or colonized or conquered, and by cruel people, the Spanish or whatnot, and then they've revolted, and they moved them out only to be led by a more corrupt individual or group. Then they're kicked out of office. I'm sorry, Rick, you keep getting kicked off. Get a better phone. Or get a laptop or on your computer. Puerto Rico's history is crazy. The guy that was at Adam Ruins Everything did something that seems sort of skewed in its presentation about how now we came and took all our money and did all this, and we didn't. The United States came in and they got territory. They became a territory after the Spanish-American War. They've had many opportunities to become a state. They don't want to become a state, which is fine. If that's what the people of Puerto Rico want, that's what they want. If they came up with a vote or whatever and said that they would prefer to no longer be a territory of the United States, to have self-rule, I believe the American people would support that, and I believe the Congress would probably allow it. And they'd be on their own. And we could sign a lease for the naval base there, or we could just leave outright. And I say, well, if you don't want to come up with a fair term on this, then fine, we'll move our naval facilities back to the United States. It's not that far, and that'd be fine. But like, we discovered that governor or whatever down there, or mayor or whatever, that was raising all the hell and saying shit about Trump, turned out to be corrupt as hell. And then months later, 6 or 8 months later, they found tons of supplies that the Puerto Rican government stockpiled and didn't turn or move to the people. That's not us. That's not the United States. The United States sent a hospital ship. They sent Navy vessels to help with water and whatnot, and help with the logistics. They flew stuff in. They got down there as fast as they could. You know, this wasn't on the continent. This was an island, so we had to load ships and prep them. Where it's a lot easier for Kmart or Target or whatnot, Walmart, to just load up a couple of trailers and say, hey, you know, come and pick these up, take these to Louisiana or take these to Texas. You know, and that can happen in just a couple days. All right, here comes the boss with supplies. 90% spaghetti free, is it? So yeah, it sucks. You know, look at the whole thing. Look at the history. You know, look at what's going on deep. You know, I'm getting mixed information about Venezuela. Did they have a coup? Did they overthrow the Maduro or whatever? Did they? Or is there a move to overthrow Maduro? I understand that the United States and one other country or something like that has made comments in support of the overthrow. We sent a hospital ship down there, and quite honestly, I wonder if we should do things like that anymore. I mean, you know, if they ask if there's a coup or a revolution or a civil war or whatever that overthrows this guy and it comes quickly, and then the new regime calls up and says, hey, we could use some help establishing a new form of government, a government based under law, and we could use some humanitarian help. Man, the Navy and everybody would be down there so fast that this president, I think, would quickly send support down there. Obama or some of the others, I don't know. I don't really know. I would think that they would. I think I gotta go. I think our time is running out. My friends want to lock up their diner. Getting ready to close? A few more hours? Okay. You close at 4, okay. I thought you closed at 2. Anyways, I think that's it. I think that's our breakfast talk. You know, read more, get online, do some research, ask questions. You know, if I had the money and the skill, I don't know. I think I'd start an organization that goes after all these politicians. Rick mentioned me in a comment. Oh, okay, on Facebook. Have a great day, Dave. All right, you too, Rick. And as always, this will be going to the Epic Beard and Dave channel on YouTube. You can rewatch it, or you can suggest it to your friends if you'd like. And then ring the bell for notifications, or post if you like it. Become a member, become a friend, subscribe, whatnot. But you can always find out what kind of crap I'm thinking on that channel, or the Dave Besaw channel, which is more, you know, I don't know what the difference in the two is. I just like me and the beard here like to get on here and rattle about. So, y'all have a good day. Enjoy your weekend. See you soon. Bye.